I think we all know the outcome of this Senate impeachment trial, but it's still highly entertaining and fun to watch. But what is the right way to watch it? There's a right way to watch it, not only in terms of your attitude, but also in terms of your body posture. I think in this respect, we can all take a lesson from Senator Josh Hawley. Check this out.
Garrett, I noticed you tweeted about the conduct of some of the members who were not paying attention. Tell us about what Josh Hawley was doing.
Well, I think that was one of the sort of two main takeaways from the last hour. Again, the intractable nature of trying to get some of the folks in the room to actually engage with the material and be present and take this seriously. Josh Hawley, who's made his disdain for this process abundantly clear in public comments, is doing the same thing in the chamber. All the senators have the option to use the gallery, the upstairs area, for seating for social distancing. Josh Hawley is the only one taking advantage of that opportunity. He's been sitting with his legs up on the seat in front of him, essentially reading non-related material.
So I'm really smiling at this, and I'm smiling not only at the sort of pompous, disturbed posture of these two media figures. Oh, he's not taking the whole thing seriously. Exactly. That's why I'm smiling. Josh Hawley has exactly the right idea. Show your disdain for this whole process. And I think the key touch here isn't just that he's reading, quote, unrelated material. I'd like to know what it was. But the leg posture. He has his legs up. Reminds me a little bit of what they would say about Calvin Coolidge in the 1920s. Calvin Coolidge, like Ronald Reagan, liked to take an afternoon nap. But Reagan would just sort of doze off for a little bit and then come back and get to work. Calvin Coolidge would take a nap, but for that purpose, he would first change into his pajamas. And this is key. The basic idea is that government has a limited role. And in fact, when Calvin Coolidge would wake up 2 hours later, his normal line was, "Is the country still here? Is the country still here?" A kind of joking reference to the idea that somehow the president is indispensable. The country wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for him. Well, let's turn back to impeachment and Trump. Now, the reason this whole case is falling apart is that the link to Trump is never shown. It's obvious there was a complete breakdown of security. You've got all these people roaming the hallways unobstructed, really, not even seriously being... where were all the metal detectors? If you or I tried to go to the Capitol, we'd never be able to get in. It's just as difficult as getting into the White House. Apparently, Trump offered 10,000 National Guard troops before the January 6th rally. Oddly enough, this was refused by the Capitol Police. This was refused by the mayor of D.C., So, you know, you've got all these absurdly exaggerated reenactments of what happened. You know, here is a video of Chuck Schumer. He's walking down the hallway. Look at his expression. He looks extremely troubled. He's now walking in the opposite direction. Blah, blah, blah. Sort of reminds me a little bit of when my daughter Danielle was a kid. You know, she'd come, "Oh, I hurt my knee." And it was never enough to show sympathy. She had to reenact it. "Oh, let me show you, Dad. I was running down the hallway. I made a turn." Blah. So this is what we're seeing, this kind of reenactment that is supposed to give a sense of the harrowing nature of this episode, even though, and all this harrowing language to go with it, none of which is apparent from what you see on the actual videos. Now, Trump supposedly used incendiary rhetoric. He talked about, quote, according to the House managers, fighting like hell. Oh, really? I have in my hand a tweet from Ilhan Omar, April 8, 2020. "We must all fight like hell." Here is a tweet from Joe Biden from 19. "That's why I've spent my whole career fighting, and I will continue to fight like hell." The Trump War Room put out Jamie Raskin in a speech, September 23rd, 2020. "We must fight like hell to stop this assault on healthcare." Eric Swalwell, video. "I'll fight like hell." And there are many other examples. The point is that whatever Trump said, boilerplate political rhetoric. He's no more inciting an insurrection than Swalwell and Ilhan Omar are. Now, the left sort of realizes that all of this is, deep down they know it's super dumb. And so the really smart leftists are trying to go to something new, get Trump some other way. Here's Bruce Ackerman of Yale Law School in an article co-written with another guy. He goes, impeachment won't keep Trump from running again. Here's a better way. He's basically saying, let's drop the whole impeachment nonsense, going nowhere, and let's try to get Trump on the 14th Amendment. This is a whole new thing. Now, the 14th Amendment, Section 3, which was actually passed right after the Civil War, was basically aimed at preventing another insurrection, another massive armed rebellion of the kind mounted by the southern states against the Union. And so civil officers that support that or are part of that are barred from serving in public office. But of course, we're not in a civil war. There isn't a massive armed insurrection. It is a parody of the events of January 6th to liken it to the assault on Fort Sumter or the invasion of Pennsylvania by Lee. So these preposterous analogies. And so you can see the desperation of the other side. They kind of have to get Trump. He's sort of, we've got the target, we've got the crime, we've got the criminal. We just now have to find a crime. It's a criminal in search of a crime. Now, the political scientist Jonathan Turley makes a point that, you keep accusing Trump of crimes. And by the way, they've been doing this for years. Turley has a funny line. He goes, Donald Trump may be the most convicted man never charged in America. All these people say he's guilty of this crime and that crime, and it goes way back. Yes, former Washington prosecutor and Washington Post columnist talking about Trump committed bribery in the Ukraine. Former House impeachment counsel Norm Eisen. Trump was guilty of a crime in his collaboration with Russia. Here's another guy, a law school dean at the University of Connecticut, where he talks about Trump committed more criminal acts. Now, when they keep talking about criminal acts, the point is, if you've got Trump on a crime, you don't actually have to impeach him. You can actually charge him. And even, by the way, if he survives this impeachment business, as he will if he's acquitted, he can still be charged with a crime. But of course, Turley makes a key point. Crimes require criminal intent. And here's the key point. The House managers don't even bother to show intent. Why? Because they can't. So here's what they do. They focus not on Trump's intent. They focus not even on what Trump said. They focus on how Trump's words were interpreted, how the people listening to them thought this is what he meant, this is what was in his mind, this is what he was implying. And that's why you have all these interviews. Trump invited me to do this. Now, this is not really real, genuine prosecution. It convinces nobody. No wonder Lindsey Graham basically said, the House Democrats are kind of losing votes every day. Their case gets increasingly far-fetched and preposterous. But I think it just shows the desperation of their attempt to get Trump. They're not going to get him this time. Better luck next time, guys.